Hi, this is Shadi, and today we will be discussing ground techniques from the battlefield. So recently I did a video about throws from the battlefield. I've shown a few kumiuchi footage and highlights, and I've compared them to today's judo throws in competition. And today we will do just that, but for ground techniques. We will go from the concept of the guard, what to do when you're on your back, and also what they did when they gained top position. What was the most favorable thing to do in order to end someone, whether it is, joint locks or, suffocation, just stabbing, all sorts of options, and compare it to today's grappling mentality, whether it is BJJ, how to approach a particular ground position, and also in judo, today's approach into newaza, because, as they say, they're the same beast with different mentalities. So first, let's start with the guard. Yes, there is such a thing as the samurai guard. So this is from the book The Fighting Arts of Japan, a complete guide to Koryu Jiu-Jitsu. It's a great book. It's around 250 pages. It discusses many things like etymology, the difference, who came up with terms Jiu-Jitsu, Yawara Jutsu, etc., and also shows many techniques and differences between multiple Koryus. So here you see someone laying on their back, their sword is ready. You see here their foot is on the other one, their ankle is on the knee, and it says here, an exponent of the Enshin Ryu demonstrates one example of a defensive position that could be taken after falling backwards while clad in armor. The legs can be used to kick away an opponent, and the tachi, the sword, can be used to parry an incoming attack or to counter attack. So as you see here, this is more of an emergency situation that the samurai has found themselves in, and thus, this is your last resort, but still you have somewhat a few options in order to survive. You don't just immediately get up, because someone is very close to you is gonna easily use that time as you're getting up to kill you. You either have, create distance with the kick and thus getting back up, or you can straight up stab someone with your sword as you are laying down. So the idea of turtling obviously did not exist in battlefield, and obviously it's not a very good idea for the battlefield. So here you see where competition rules can protect you from certain scenarios, where the referee can protect you from, I would say, realism in fighting. So this idea here, you see the guard obviously still survives. The guard is very much sought out in BJJ as sometimes a primary position. It's like their go-to, but in all judo, jiu-jitsu, even till this day, the guard is something, as it says here in the game of jiu-jitsu, the man thrown must spin round into this position. This is not something that you actually seek out, but rather, again, an emergency position that, the more options you have, the better. For example, it's best to avoid the ground altogether in a street fight, but once you're there, it's best to know, it's best to be the superior grappler on the ground. Here you see a dojime that would also qualify as a guard from the old Tenjin Shinryu Jiu-Jitsu. Again, this is not a primary position, but this is something that you happen to find yourself in. Now, this book also provides a way of how they would end someone, joint locking someone with the arm, extending it. You're wearing an armor, they're wearing an armor. It's not going to be very comfortable, and it's not going to be very practical or fast. Like today, we, open someone's arm up in order to finish with a Jujigatame or Udegarami. So here, they provide a little bit more detail on how to, break someone's neck and suffocate them. This is in the same page, the 42nd page of the book. Again, the link will be in the description below. Here it says neck breaking and suffocation. Moving him into an uncomfortable position was just one of the tactics used to overcome an opponent. Some interesting tactics were to break the enemy's neck using the weight of his own kabuto helmet, or grabbing and squeezing his menpo, face protector, if he was wearing one, in such a way as to place pressure on his chin, jaw, and nose, causing breathing difficulties. Jiu-jitsu techniques such as shikoro gaeshi, reversing the shikoro helmet, neck guard, and kabuto gaeshi, reversing the kabuto, are reminiscent of some of the techniques used in yoroi kumiuchi. So here you see one of the most tactical and practical ways to end someone in an uncomfortable position. I would say someone on the ground, maybe belly down, or on their knees. They got stabbed, they cannot get up, is actually, you know, breaking their necks as they shown here, using the weight of the helmet in order to create far more momentum into braking mechanism. So when it comes to I would say top position or top game, as we call it today, there's not much to discuss. So you have your very good restraining options like the knee on belly, the mount, the side control, or uki gatame, tate shiho gatame, and yoko shiho gatame. Great to subdue someone, restrain them, and thus proceeding to stab. Again, resorting to submissions is gonna take way too long. Someone else can backstab you literally, and then just end you. So, you know, taking a small knife or a tanto and just finishing them off was the best option. So either neck breaking rather quickly or stabbing was the best way, since they were armed, not so much really going into, you know, a spinning armbar from mount or a wakigatame or whatever it may be. Now, when it comes to today's judo, I would say the samurai approach to ground technique, as it's all a continuation of the fight, you know, from the weapon up until the point where the weapon drops, you clinch, throw down, and then finishing from the ground. It's still pretty much existent in judo, obviously minus the weapons, but this idea of a dynamic fight continuous into the ground, rather than seeking a more of a tactical, long-lasting, crafted grappling mentality like BJJ, I would say it's far more preserved in judo. However, in BJJ, you still have the mentality of protecting your head, protecting, you know, your torso by always spinning out into a guard, keeping your knees close to your chest, your arms ready to grapple and finish, and if you can, finish someone from the guard or sweep them. But in judo, I would say the lack of realism is in the turtling or kame. Not to say that there's no turtling in BJJ, however, it is far more prominent in judo, the kame or turtle. You have literally a referee that's saving your life. When the game is not so much progressing on the ground, they would yell mate and the fight is reset. Now, the reason I would say the judo is very dynamic is not so much so to imitate old samurai techniques, but rather, you know, it's an Olympic sport. They want to reach out as far larger audience as possible, and thus they keep it more of a dynamic sport. You know, they want to gain more audience. For me, self-defense wise, is far more plausible. So it's a win-win situation in my opinion. Obviously it's not perfect, turtling, etc., but nonetheless it's nice to see these old you know, little small aspects of samurai mentality still pretty much in existence. Like you see in Yukio Tani's book, when thrown, always assume this position. You see the old samurai with his sword ready, his legs ready to kick, etc. It's really interesting in my opinion to see these. Or in judo today, you still see a transition from a clinch or gripping, a failed takedown, and thus, you know, a need to finish on the ground with kansetsu waza or any katame waza technique. So if you have anything else to add, please let me know down below. Also, consider supporting me on Patreon. I have exclusive content for the patrons only. I post there once a week, and of course, do not forget to check out Josh Simon's shop in the description below. This was Shadi, and as always, thank you for listening.